Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Will we be better off or worse off as a result of the legislative session in 2022? And I'm speaking specifically about the business community throughout New Mexico. Will it be better or worse? Well, my guest today, she's got her ideas on what's going to happen with the business community. That in combination with an election year, things turn around and change in election year. Some of these bills that we were looking at for years and years, like reducing the tax on Social Security, finally passed in this election year, reducing the tax on veterans' retirement income. Oh, it's been discussed and debated for decades. Oh, this election year, that was passed. We also passed more than $1 billion in infrastructure money. Will that be better for the business community? You would think so, because your taxpayer dollars, my taxpayer dollars, will now flow into some infrastructure work. But are there workers around to actually spend that $1 billion on? Are there enough workers to build those bridges and roads and armories and schools and whatever things we need? I'm not sure, but we'll find out from Carla Sonntag. She is the president and founder of New Mexico Business Coalition, and she will give us her take on, will New Mexico be better off or worse off as a result of this election year and as a result of this past legislative session. Please wait with us as we see Carla Sonntag right after this.
The National Education Association of New Mexico, a union of teachers and school staff, believes every child deserves to learn at a school that inspires their imagination, cultivates their curiosity, and ensures a fulfilling life. Public schools should provide all our students with small class sizes and one-on-one attention. NEA New Mexico asks you to join us so together we can end the teacher and staff shortage and invest in our public education system once and for all. Sponsored by NEA New Mexico.
Welcome back to the program. I'm laughing here with Carla Sonntag. I don't know if we should be laughing, Carla, or crying as a result of this past legislative session and as a result of this upcoming election. What do you think?
Well, we had some phenomenal wins during the legislative session by stopping some of the worst bills that were being introduced. There were some good moves made too, taking some taxes down a little bit and some of the taxes off of Social Security. The election year is going to make a lot of changes.
But as a result of an election year this year for governor, lieutenant governor, all the House seats, congressional seats as well, did you see a little different take in the legislature?
Oh, yes.
Okay, without a doubt. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Pandering to the voters, I think. They wanted to pass stuff that they thought the voters wanted, like crime. Crime has been an issue here. And it was really under this administration that the crime bills and issues rolled back, where we were putting more criminals back on the street. This is costing taxpayers a lot of money. And so they went in and tried to fix a crime package. We still don't have final resolution on that. We don't know if the governor's going to sign it at this stage.
The time of this taping.
Right.
But I think what was in there was retention money for state police officers and increasing, I think, as much as 14%, 17% the salaries for state police officers, but retention bonuses and such to keep them on the job.
Right. A lot of that money goes to recruiting, which is great, but we have a problem because they passed they took away qualified immunity, which means that an officer in the line of duty that hurts somebody can be sued personally, even if they were acting within the scope of their job. What that means, Diane, is a lot of cops don't want to do the job. And they're going to other jurisdictions that still have qualified immunity. That keeps them immune from personal lawsuits for acting in their role. If they're doing something illegal and they're hurting somebody unnecessarily, they're not covered. But to take that away to allow somebody to be sued personally for doing their job is just wrong. So you can recruit and you can give retention bonuses, but if you still don't have good working conditions, I don't know that we're going to attract a lot of officers.
So, and the business community, of course, wants a safe community. We want a well-educated community and, of course, a safe community to move here or to grow or expand our businesses. Regarding that crime package, they also took away the statute of limitations on second-degree murder, and again, that more funding for state police. But what they didn't pass was the one concern about releasing people who are charged with crimes onto the street. And that part, which we had been discussing for years, which some people thought was the problem. I think the University of New Mexico came out with a study and said, no, that isn't the problem with the DAs. But what happened to that aspect of it, of the bill?
It's still a problem. And that's why we see the crime rate increasing in the state. And that's very costly for business. It's costly for everybody. Then you have New Mexicans that are afraid to be here. That's not good. That's hurting our growth rate in the state. It's a detractor for businesses to come here. We really need to get that straightened out.
Yeah. We, at the beginning of the show, I said, will the business community be better off or worse off? One thing good, $1 billion of our state taxpayer dollars will be infused into infrastructure, in addition to $2 billion from the federal tax dollars will be coming into our state. $3 billion to be spent, and businesses can be paid for their work if they can find workers to do the work.
And that's the challenge. We just saw today that New Mexico is highest unemployment rate in the nation. So it's a little hard to overcome. We have a short workforce as it is.
So how can we build these bridges and armories and senior centers and water systems with that $1 billion? Over the next year, it has to be spent, or it reverts back to the general fund, this capital money. What's the business community saying to you?
Good luck. I mean, because they're all having trouble hiring. So now you're looking at massive hiring to get this work done in a year. And we can't get waitresses and waiters and get offices staffed. And so,
let alone large equipment movers and
right.
cement mixers and architects and all of those.
Because these are trained people, and many of them are licensed, and they have to have degrees and to get some of this work done. And so we're going to have to technically attract people from out of state to come and fill those positions if we can't do it from within. And we're having a hard time getting our people back to work, and many of them are not in those skilled trades. So we have some challenges ahead.
And again, that's $1 billion of taxpayer dollars to be spent this year. I understand the federal money can be spent over the next several years, right? But
right.
It looks like, according to you, with the New Mexico Business Coalition, might be out-of-state people receiving those salaries.
If we can bring them in, maybe they'll relocate and become great New Mexico residents and become a permanent part of our staff in the state. It's hard to say, but we do have some challenges ahead in order to meet that. New Mexico doesn't move very quickly anyway. That's why we're sometimes lovingly referred to as the state of mañana, the state of tomorrow, and trying to get projects done even when we are fully staffed and ready to go is difficult. And we see a lot of times money reverting back. So I'm hoping that is not the case, and it really is invested and put to good use.
Because we need that infrastructure for business as well. I mean, as well as the safety of the motorists, you and I, but also those big haulers down in southeastern New Mexico hauling all the oil and gas around. Yeah. They need those better roads, of course, down in that area. Regarding a little bit of a tax cut, that the gross receipts tax cut was reduced by 0.025, which is 25 cents on $100 spent. Is it kind of smoke and mirrors? On one hand, we say, yay, we reduced it, that slight amount, but then it can be raised by the cities, made up?
It can. Originally, the bill said that they could not, to give people a true reprieve. Now, you're only talking a quarter on $100, so not a big amount of money, but they took that out of the final bill. So the final bill allows cities, municipalities, and counties to continue to raise the gross receipts tax.
I think here in Albuquerque, what is it, about 7.285? Do you know, 7.285, something around that?
Something like that, yeah. On top of the state amount. So, yeah, we're pushing.
I think the max is about, I think Santa Fe is 8.8 8.88%, something around there, the gross receipts tax and city.
Right.
But in Albuquerque, what is it?
Yeah.
I think it's 7.285. But that's the state and the federal. That's the state and the local.
Right.
Even though we reduce it by 0.025, the city of Santa Fe can decide, they're used to paying that amount, let's just continue to go into the city coffers then.
They can do that. We're hoping that they won't. And they had a good argument that it's hard for the state to tell them you can't raise taxes when things may change and they need to. But now they've got this golden opportunity, as you said, because people are used to paying it. So we'll see, and we hope that their goodwill will trump that.
You think that? Really?
We hope. What we had really preferred to have seen is that instead of giving us back a quarter, that they rewrite the tax code and make it functionable for all of us, because it's really not. It's a deterrent for businesses to grow and for businesses to come in here. They don't like our gross receipts tax system. It can be rewritten. It's better to rewrite a tax system when you have a surplus. So some of that investment of excess funds could have been used to invest in truly rewriting the tax code in a meaningful way.
They had been discussing for decades changing the tax code. And as you said, it's in the lean years, it's difficult because there's a risk if you'll have enough money if you do too much tweaking or changes. But now we're awash in money, even more so as we tape this program. The price of crude oil, Texas crude, is $132, when it used to be $40, $50. So, and I understand 30% of the budget amount has been put into the reserves, which is promising. 30% is that instead of spending it all, even though the budget was increased to $8.6 billion, 14% increase, while our population has only grown 2% over the past decade. The budget has grown 14%.
Yeah, that's almost $1 billion in 1 year, a single increase. And many of us don't feel that's sustainable unless something drastically changes. And we're not of the opinion that marijuana is going to make up the difference.
But also, the fact is we have all that money. Do you think there could be a special session after this election? Could there actually ever be tax code change here?
You know, it's going to take strong will to get it done, and I'll tell you why. There are a lot of carve-outs, a lot of exemptions, and the people that get the exemptions are the people that have the lobbyists who go up and lobby for an exemption, and that's the reason why if we rewrote it, get rid of a lot of those exemptions, treat everybody equally, we could bring that tax rate down to something very manageable.
Yeah, I always recall State Senator Bill Scher, who wanted just 2%. Everybody can pay 2%. Everybody on, instead of the 8 or 9 or 10%.
Right.
Carving out for the film industry gets a 25% rebate back. Instead of giving them 25%, everybody just pays 2%.
Right.
And everybody could afford maybe their 2%.
Yes. And his theme was it was pyramiding, so it was 2% every time the product changed hands, that can work because you can still keep it low enough depending. I mean, because we've had pyramiding here in the state that's been detrimental, so we'd have to be real careful with that plan.
But again, if we don't get it done, I guess now in this year when we are washing money, taxpayer dollars, it may never happen in the state.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of legislators with the will to get it done. If there was the will, there is the way. But they just don't want to tell their friends that they took away that they're taking it back.
Yeah, it's always hard. It's easy to give, but hard to take back. What about this session, the governor's unchecked power? And I'm speaking about her ability to have the health mandates, her ability to try to spend money when the legislature's job is to spend the money.
Yeah. You know, that is not how government is designed. It's designed to have the three branches, and within the legislative branch, the balance to the governor's power. And we've not seen that with her unchecked powers over the COVID lockdowns and all the measures that she took. You know, we're into our third year of that now. And she has not released her executive order, and the legislature did not check that power. So even though the mask mandate is off, she can reinstate whatever she wants, whenever she wants. She's going to be very slow to release that because she can't get it back. We're not going to go back into crisis mode. So she's going to want to leave that order in effect. It's going to be interesting to see what she does in another 25 days.
What's going on with that? I looked at your website, New Mexico Business Coalition, and learned from your website that as of last year, people on public assistance were, I think, 847,000 New Mexicans. We have a population of about a little over 2 million, so little less than a million are on some kind of public assistance. And also read on your website a slogan, a quote that I had never heard before from the former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in England, saying, talking about socialism, saying the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money.
Right.
And that's what people may not realize. They're not earning the money, they're spending money from other taxpayers.
That's right. And so now we're talking about, we heard Representative Maestas just say recently that he wants to look at taxing the oil and gas industry further to make up some of the difference with this budget increase. Well, you continue to increase taxes, you just run people out of the state. It's very easy for most of our oil and gas producers to go just over the border to Texas, where they can do a lot for less, and they're better welcome there. So we've got to be careful with how we do that, and that's what happens when you continue to expand government, expand programs for give outs to people. Somebody's got to pay for it, and it's those people that are not receiving are the ones providing. And people are leaving the state to find lower taxes and more reasonable policies, and we need to think about that.
Because we could run out of other people's money if they run out of the state.
Exactly. We could run out of people to support those that are on government assistance.
Carla, what would you share about this past session and this election year? What points? I brought up some things. What would you like to point out to viewers?
The one thing that I think is most exciting is what we saw during the legislative session. We organized like-minded groups all over the state, and we had amazing success. So the people in the state, this is not a war between political parties. It is a war really to take back our state from people that call themselves progressives that have come in and really taken over the Democratic Party. Not the Democratic Party anymore, but we're not at war with them. We're at war with this idealism that pushes us to socialism, because that's not where New Mexicans want to be. That's not what they want to see. And what we saw during this session is more people engaging in the process and saying, I don't want that. We had about 300,000 actions taken, emails, letters, phone calls to legislators saying, stop it. It was phenomenal, Diane. I've never seen that many people get engaged and say what they wanted to say during the session, which bodes well for the elections coming up. We have a lot of people that have left. They are not running again. They've resigned, or they're just not going to seek re-election. It's a new opportunity for New Mexico to get new leadership. I think that more of the public is engaged, and I think we're going to see some interesting things happen this year.
Your website made it very easy to kind of follow what was going on with the legislature, and also gave people an opportunity to contact their legislators. The grassroots organization, Better Together New Mexico, who formed that, and what role does the New Mexico Business Coalition have with this Better Together New Mexico organization?
It's a project of the New Mexico Business Coalition. We've been organized loosely for years, but this is a more formal organization where we actually reached out to like-minded groups, even on a single issue, where they are concerned about the growth of government, or they're concerned about a certain element of government. And we brought these people together. We have 53 groups. We're still growing. We have an outreach to 230,000 New Mexicans. It's just amazing. And so our next phase of this, we're reaching out to pastors and faith leaders, because we know that believers frequently are not the people that vote, not to the same extent that others do. And so we want to get them engaged, understanding God created the first government, and he asked us to govern ourselves until he comes back. Well, he's not back yet. And so our responsibility is to make sure we've got good, godly leaders in office. and to vote to get them there. So we're reaching out to Christians and believers and people of faith, asking them to register to vote and to exercise that right when the time comes and vote.
How have you found that you're saying people in that arena, they don't tend to vote as much? Are there statistics on that?
There are, and I need to get more current statistics. The last time I looked, the statistics said, and this is a little dated, 50% of Christians are not registered to vote. So there's 50% who are registered to vote, but of those registered Christians, only about 25% actually vote.
That sounds very shocking and alarming, truly.
It is.
That's
and
the
those
case.
are dated.
That's the case.
I need to go back, but I will tell you, we know that there is a base there of people, if they get engaged, we can change what's happening in this state and in this nation.
What was the reason that they don't vote? If you've, in your research of this topic.
They believe that that is in God's hands, and they'll pray about it. And so we point to the Bible where God set up government and told us to govern ourselves. That's what he wants us to do. And so if you're not running for office, the least you can do is vote and communicate with your legislator or elected official about where you stand on issues, because they are elected to represent you.
And Better Together New Mexico, how will you do this outreach to these organizations, churches, and religious
One by
communities?
one, we're calling them, inviting them to a Zoom call, and I will talk to them and tell them how we do it and what it means to join and be a part of it. They send out an email with a survey, about 4 minutes. People can fill that out, and you can do it online at Better Together New Mexico. Fill out the survey, tell us what you're interested in, and those are the issues we'll contact you on. You also tell us how you want to get involved. Will you write a letter? Will you testify? And we won't ask you to do anything you don't want to do. So if we know what you want to do and how you want to do it, we'll keep you engaged in the process.
Seems like you're giving people an opportunity not just to complain about state government, but an easy way to actually do something about state government.
Screaming at the TV doesn't help. But you can very easily get engaged with the New Mexico Business Coalition or Better Together and voice your opinion. It takes 30 seconds in our automated calls to action to voice your opinion.
Talking about voting, of course, the importance for that group to vote. The Voter Rights Election Reform Bill was killed, and I believe you, as a member of the Business Committee, are pleased about that. Parts of it required, without people's authorization, just to sign up people to register them to vote without their permission. That's kind of alarming.
It really is. They were going to get a postcard notification in the mail that they had been registered. It also allowed felons to vote as soon as they got out of prison without having finished parole. I mean, I believe in second chances, but I believe that they should finish their sentence first. 16-year-olds to vote. A lot of bad problems in there. They also, this was the kicker for me, Tuesday's election, in Election Day, they want to continue accepting ballots through Friday. Why?
After Election Day?
Yes.
Well, maybe they don't like how the vote tally was on Tuesday, Election Day. So they extended it 4 more days.
There were a lot of accusations about that.
So you find out, oh, my candidate didn't win. I'm going to go tell all my neighbors to get out and vote after their candidate didn't win, and they could maybe win by Friday?
Continue voting and counting votes. But what happened was we had 2 bills that were going through both the House and the Senate unanimously. Republicans, Democrats, everybody was fine with them. 1 bill, not so much. So what they did at the last minute, in the dark of the night, like they like to do, took the guts out of that really bad bill and amended 165 pages of amendments into a 2-page bill. And then the fight was on. But the whole time we sent almost 100,000, just barely under 100,000 emails on that single issue saying we don't want this. And we enumerated the reasons why. And that's where people engaged. We got it stopped. So what does that mean? That means that our elections are still the way they used to be, and people need to vote. They need to feel secure in their voting rights and to exercise that right.
We have a primary coming up June 7th.
Yes.
And the general election in November. Does the New Mexico Business Coalition choose candidates, or you put out which are the business-friendly candidates? What process do you take? Do you recommend? You don't?
Yeah, well, we never tell people how to vote, but we do give them guidance on what the candidate has done in the past. That's pro-business, anti-business, pro-New Mexico, anti-New Mexico. We let voters know where they stand. And that way voters can feel assured that they're knowledgeable about those candidates when they go vote. That's all we want to do, is make sure you have the information you need to make an informed choice at the polls.
In addition to all this work, you have some fun too.
Yeah.
At a bash, it's going to be April 7th. This program may be airing a little bit after that, before that, at Revel Entertainment Center at 5 o'clock. Tell me, what is a bash?
Well, it's a business and social hour. And so we have social time at the beginning and the end, and we have a 1-hour program. We find that's a good length of time for people to be able to stay engaged. So during this election time, we'll be doing a lot of candidate things. And one of our favorite bash events is candidate interviews. And they're pretty phenomenal. We've still got some posted on our website. You can go back and look at the mayor's race in Albuquerque. That was amazing. So we're going to have a modified version this time because there are so many candidates before the primary. But once we get down to general election time and we just have the two candidates, then we go into our formal format of job interviews. It's amazing. One candidate is sequestered, the other comes out for questioning, and they're not easy questions, and they're not allowed to talk about their opponent. They have to answer the question. I'll redirect one time. If they still won't answer the question, we move on and they lose their mic time.
Something else to look forward to.
Yes.
Carla Sonntag, this election year. Thank you for sharing. That can be either in person. If you miss it in person, you can watch it online.
Absolutely.
So you're excited. You're excited about all the work that you have in front of you, you and your successful team.
We love our work, and we love it when we have successes, and we do that when people get engaged.
That's the word, engaged. Thank you so much for watching this program and being engaged, and we thank Carla Sonntag for all the work that she and the New Mexico Business Coalition do in our state. I am Diane Kinderwater. Thank you for watching, and make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house. Being part-time really helped because I could have some opportunities that were still in education.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.